So I was having a conversation with my wife today, and it had something to do with the book that I'm working on right now, and that is I felt like, I'm in the rough draft process of the book, but I felt like the main character of the book was what we call a passive character. Now, what is a passive character exactly? That is why you clicked on the video, right? So, a passive character is someone who reacts to events but never necessarily makes decisions that drives the plot of a story forward. They usually react to events, they can be affected by events, stuff just kind of happens to them, but they never do anything that happens to the story, if you get what I mean. So, um, yeah, in the case of my book, the main character just, I'm like probably about 12, 13,000 words into the book, and I just felt like the main character was very passive. Like things were just kind of happening to him, or he was reacting to events, but he was never really making decisions that directly affected the story. Now, I have the confidence to share that because I am now in the process of changing that, making him a much more active character. When you have an active character, this is someone who has agency. A character who is active is one that has agency, and a passive character hardly has any agency. It is possible to write a book or to tell a story where a character is passive, but they tend to be the ones that are the least interesting. This was actually something, one of the reasons why I don't think the original Hunger Games trilogy of books, I'm not counting the movies, but the books. This is one of the reasons why I don't think the original Hunger Games book trilogy is as good as people hail them to be, because the main character Katniss would be what you consider a passive character. Most of the time, stuff just kind of happens to her. She reacts to things, but she never makes a whole lot of decisions that drives the plot forward. This may have been true for the first book. A little bit. She did, make decisions throughout the book that changed the direction of things moving forward in the second and third books. But in the second and third books, I felt like a lot of what she did was just kind of her reacting to things, or God forbid, passing out and then waking up and then being told what happened while she was out. Just, ridiculous stuff like that. So if you're in the process of writing a novel right now, or maybe you're thinking about writing one, just remember that when you are writing or you start writing your book, think about your main character and think about the outline that you've written for the book, if you did write an outline. Um, and ask yourself, is my main character passive, or is he or she active? If they are active, great. If they are passive, before you think about how you can make the character more active, think to yourself whether or not the fact that the character is passive is actually beneficial to the story, or in order for the story to work, the character needs to be, active. Because for me personally, I know that it's possible to write passive characters and for it to work, but for me, I'm much more interested in active characters. I love stories involving characters where their decisions drives the plot forward. And sometimes not even in like big significant ways, but in ways that are kind of like these little things, almost like, death by a thousand cuts, where like just little decision here, little decision there, little like things said here, things said there, like little things creates this domino effect, and that raises the stakes and raises the stakes and raises the stakes, and just like causes the tension to rise higher and the stakes to grow high, to get higher. Everything just everything just kind of grows more and more and more until it all kind of blows up in the third act. You know, I love those kinds of stories. Breaking Bad obviously is a classic example of a main character who is active, not passive, and every single decision that Walter White makes throughout the show causes that bubble to grow and grow and grow before, you know, until by the final season it explodes, and just everything happens, and all, you know, like everything just comes to a head. It's fantastic stuff. And like, you know, Better Call Saul, the show, is the same way with, you know, with Jimmy. All of his decisions creates this domino effect that leads to the end. So I guess I gave you an example of a passive character, that being Katniss from the original Hunger Games trilogy, and an active character, that being Walter White from Breaking Bad. I prefer to err more on the side of Walter White when it comes to writing my characters rather than, you know, Katniss Everdeen. So, you know, that's my little TED Talk for tonight on my series, where I'm going through the process of writing my second book in a trilogy of books. First book, The Glass God, is available on Amazon already, link in the description below. And I would like to present a challenge to you. Do you prefer an active character or a passive character? What's your favorite example of an active one? What's your favorite example of a passive one? And is there any justification that you can come up with for writing a passive character? And if you're writing a book, which version of that character do you think fits your main character the most? Hope you enjoyed this. I release stuff like this almost every day. I do this to be consistent, almost like journal entries. And you can hit subscribe and that notification bell to get that content almost every day, week after week, as I get closer and closer to finishing my book. Out. Forced out. You know, anyway, I'm done. Video's over.